Working out in the greenhouse today, one of the goals that I had for this year is figuring out how I can grow more greens for our family year-round. And I did plant some out in the garden, but I wanted to plant some also in the greenhouse. So I'm using one of the grow beds in the greenhouse, and ultimately we'll end up using both of them. But as I'm working out here today, I'm thinking about my great-grandfather. When I was a little girl growing up, we lived in an area in northwestern Pennsylvania where most of my extended family lived around us, and we spent a fair deal of time visiting with many of them, and especially my great-grandfather and great-grandmother on their property. We called him Grandad Drury. The family name is Drury, which comes from Drury of England fame, Drury Lane and Drury Lane Theatre fame. And I have a lot of memories of my great-grandfather, but I was so young. He passed away when I was about 10 years old, I believe from cancer. I know he had skin cancer. You could see on his face in particular. One of the things that my grandfather was known for was his gardens, and they were extensive and large, and I have some memories of playing in his gardens among, rambling squash vines, and especially in his greenhouse. He had a very large greenhouse, but it also served as kind of a shed, and so in parts of it he would be growing things, but in parts of it was just stacked up with lawn chairs and tools and anything that needed to be stored that didn't fit in the house, which from what I remember when I was growing up, they actually had a mobile home on their property. And I remember playing in the gardens, playing in the greenhouse. I remember one time I found newborn kittens and cat mama in the greenhouse. I remember playing in and around his roadside stand down at the bottom of the driveway. He was so well known for his produce that people would come from the neighboring state in the summertime, late summer and early fall, to buy produce from him. I remember it was a sort of like a small shed, and it had a man door on one end, and across one long side which faced the road, it opened. There was two doors hinged, and one opened up to provide like a sun awning, and the other one folded down to make like a counter area, service area. I want to say it was painted white, but I can't remember for sure. My great-grandfather was one of my favorite people in the whole world. When I was a kid, he would play harmonica when I came to visit, and I believe it was probably him who gave me my first yo-yo. I remember him giving me harmonicas too, and he loved to play cards, and he used to always say that you should eat dessert first. Life is too short, you should eat dessert first, which I think really kind of irked my great-grandmother a little bit. I really loved spending time with him and on the farm, and I have some memories too of down at the barn, just very vague. I didn't spend very much time in the barn, but there was one goose in particular who loved my great-grandfather and hated everybody else. That goose would follow him around like a pet dog, but if anybody else tried to get near, the goose would chase you and it would bite. I really wish that I could have known my grandfather now, that I could get advice from him on starting my gardens and using my greenhouse and raising animals. In my family, none of the generations between him and me really did any super serious gardening, and we didn't raise any livestock. So I have some vague memories of some family gardens when I was a kid, but not to the extent and probably not to the expertise, although I don't really know, of my grandfather, who was so well known for it. So that's what I'm working on today. Just thought I would share a memory while I share my work, and I hope you enjoyed it. Blessed be, friends. That's all I've got for you today. We'll see you on the next video.